Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Tanner, and to start our new unit on the Age of Exploration, I thought we would go chronologically through some of the most famous explorers out of Europe. So thanks for following along. Make sure you are filling out your notebook. Our first explorer that we're going to look at is Bartholomew Diaz. He was from Portugal. He was born in 1450 and he died in 1500. And in search of what you'll learn is the Spice Islands, Portugal was trying to sail around Africa. And in 1488, Bartholomew Diaz became the first sailor to make it around the Cape of Good Hope at the southern tip of Africa. So the red lines here show Bartholomew Diaz's route. He never made it to the Spice Islands, but he did make it all the way around Africa. Next up chronologically, so next in time, is Christopher Columbus. He was from Italy, from Genoa, Italy. He was born in 1451, died in 1506. He was also looking for the Spice Islands, but thought it'd be faster to sail west instead of going around Africa. And he ended up being very wrong, but he found the Caribbean islands. So his first voyage is in blue. You can see he went by the Azores and then ended up in the Caribbean islands. And he wasn't the first European in the New World of North America or the Caribbean, but he really was the first to go back and spread that information commonly throughout Europe. And you can see he eventually made 4 different voyages to the New World. His first and most famous voyage was in 1492. Next up is another Portuguese sailor, Vasco da Gama. He was born in 1460 and died in 1524. He was the first European to get to India by sea. There was a land route through Europe. You'd kind of go this way. It was called the Silk Road, so you would travel through Europe and then through Asia and down into to India and China, wherever else you wanted to go. That was the Silk Road, but it had been closed. So to sail there was the only option. Vasco da Gama was the first to make it to India by sea, once again sailing around the Cape of Good Hope. Next up on our timeline is Ponce de Leon. He was a Spanish conquistador, and a conquistador was not only an explorer, but also a military person who was there to overthrow or conquer the areas that they discovered in the search of riches and glory. Ponce de Leon was born in 1474, died in 1521. You'll see that a couple of times. Ponce de Leon became the first governor of what is now Puerto Rico in 1509. And then from Puerto Rico, he sailed to what is now modern-day Florida. So he was the first European to hit modern-day Florida in 1513. And you can see his route from Puerto Rico to Florida and then into the Gulf of Mexico and back in the picture down here. Next up is Vasco Núñez de Balboa. He was from Spain. He was born in 1475, died in 1519. He was the first European to see the Pacific Ocean. So he was exploring Panama. He obviously would have sailed in from the east, but then he went up rivers and then left the boats and went through land where they eventually built new boats. And he was the first European to get to the Pacific Ocean. So this is Panama. This is the Isthmus of Panama. And they were to get into what's now the Gulf of Panama, but this is a part of the Pacific Ocean. They didn't realize it was a massive ocean at the time, and they called it the South Sea. So at the time, they just called this the South Sea. But of course, we now know that it is the largest ocean, and it is the Pacific Ocean. He discovered that, but got there in 1510. Next up is another Portuguese sailor. You'll see Ferdinand Magellan. He was born in 1480, and he is another sailor who died in 1521. He led the first expedition that circumnavigated the globe. It took 3 years, from 1519 to 1522. And circumnavigated just means go all the way around. So they went all the way around the circumference of the Earth. It took 3 years. And you might notice that he died in 1521, but the journey was not completed until 1522. he was killed. So if you look on this island, he was actually killed by islanders in the Philippines on April 27th, 1521. And then his crew continued on, and they eventually returned with only one of the 5 ships that they set off with, and there was only 18 survivors. So it was a very deadly journey for them, but their crew did make it. Ferdinand Magellan's crew did make it all the way around the world. Next on our list is another conquistador. So again, that's another Spanish military and explorer, military leader and explorer. And he really explored Mexico. And while he was exploring Mexico, he came across the Aztec Empire. And as conquistadors would do, he sought a way to overthrow that empire. He got to Mexico in 1519. He eventually overthrew the Aztec Empire in 1521. So again, that's the same year that Ferdinand Magellan was killed. So in 1521, Hernan Cortez overthrows the Aztec Empire, and the Spanish build Mexico City over their capital of Tenochtitlan. So when you see Tenochtitlan here, that is modern-day Mexico City. Next is another Spanish conquistador, Francisco Pizarro, who was born in 1478 and died in 1541. He read all of Hernan Cortez's work and how he overthrew the Aztec Empire, except he explored the South America, and he came across the Incan Empire. So Pizarro conquered the Inca Empire in 1531 and 1532. It really started in 31, ended in 32. And he came after Cortez. So he overthrew, he overthrew the Inca after Cortez overthrew the Aztec. Although if you look at their dates, Francisco Pizarro was actually older than Cortez. We skip forward in time here by a little bit, and this is really where the English start to get involved in European exploration. This is Sir Francis Drake. He was born in 1540, so that's 19 years after Magellan died. He died in 1596, and he was the first Englishman to circumnavigate the globe. So he did that from 1577 to 1580. And 1577 is 55 years after Magellan's crew managed the same feat. So the English are a little bit late to exploration, but they really do become the dominant force of the global empire shortly after they get started. And then the last explorer that we will look at is Henry Hudson. He's another English explorer. He was born in 1565 and died in 1611. And he was looking for the Northwest Passage. And the idea of a Northwest Passage was that they were looking for a land that you could sail all the way from one side of North America to the other side of North America without needing to go all the way around the tip of South America. So if you go back in the video and look at the circumnavigations of Magellan or Sir Francis Drake, they had to go all the way around the tip of South America. And the English were really looking for a way to avoid that. And they were hoping to find a fabled Northwest Passage. And while he never found the Northwest Passage, but Henry Hudson did explore what is now known as the Hudson River down here and into the Hudson Bay. So both the Hudson Bay and the Hudson River take Henry Hudson's name. Both of those are in Canada, and we'll learn about them in our Canada unit as well. Thanks for watching. Make sure you got notes on all of these explorers and expect them, at least some of them, to show up on the end of unit test. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions.